Episode 53. The man in Gray's words were like a bucket of cold water, instantly dousing the hot-headed enthusiasm of the higher-ups.
Exactly. Someone that young and that powerful must have an immortal-level elder backing them up. If we rashly kill him and his elders come looking for us, won't we all be left with nowhere to bury our corpses?
Once they realized that killing Dr. Han would mean their own demise, those who had advocated for a violent approach quickly changed their tune. Even though one or two profit-blinded individuals still tried to insist, the opinion to treat Han Li with a gentle approach was ultimately unified. Now, hearing Han Li suddenly utter such a loaded statement, Sect Master Wang couldn't help but feel a pang of guilt. He assumed the other man's powers were vast, that he had somehow learned the details of yesterday's dispute and was now issuing him a warning. But Wang Juchu had been the sect master for many years now. His depth and experience were far from ordinary. He thought it over, then decided to sound the other party out first.
Why would you say that, Dr. Han? Everyone in our sect is deeply grateful to you.
Yet I've heard that someone might be planning something against me.
Sect Master Wang was startled at first, but seeing that Han Li showed no signs of anger, he finally relaxed a little. Since he didn't say it with anger and came alone, it's likely he's only heard rumors, not the full details of the meeting. It seems there's still room to salvage the relationship.
There may have been a misunderstanding, Dr. Han. It's true that a few scoundrels from our sect attempted to betray your kindness yesterday, but rest assured, they have already been apprehended and are under strict confinement. You must understand, the majority of our sect is still deeply grateful to Dr. Han. We would never do anything to hurt an ally and delight our enemies.
Ever since I revealed my strength and helped the Seven Mysteries sect survive this calamity, I've constantly reminded myself to be cautious. After all, the human heart is the most difficult thing to fathom. Besides, for these so-called big shots, it's all too common to see them turn their backs on benefactors, and even their own kin, as long as the price is right.
This was also one of the reasons Han Li had shut himself away and refused all visitors since returning to the valley. He deliberately let the higher-ups cool off, hoping their reason wouldn't be completely consumed by the fire of greed. After having Li Feiyu deliver the message about meeting with the higher-ups, Han Li had no intention of seeing them on time, even though his current strength far surpassed that of an ordinary martial artist. But if the other party resorted to underhanded methods, there were still far too many ways to get him killed. So, to be safe, he deliberately arrived half a day early to meet this Master Wang alone and in secret. And just now, with only the slightest test, this Sect Master Wang had already shown his hand. So the big shots of the Seven Mysteries sect really had considered taking action against me.
Let's not waste words, Sect Master Wang. To be frank, after this meeting, I'll be leaving this place and traveling far away. I likely won't ever return to Rainbow Cloud Mountain. So, before I leave, I'd like to propose a mutually beneficial transaction with you, Sect Master.
A transaction? What possible transaction could I have with Dr. Han?
At noon, when the originally agreed meeting time arrived, Han Li did not appear in the main hall of Sunset Peak. Instead, Sect Master Wang was the last to stride into the venue, looking exceptionally spirited.
There's no need to wait for Han Li any longer. He has already left Rainbow Mountain, and his whereabouts are unknown. He's likely left Jing Province, perhaps even Yue Country. He won't be a problem anymore.
Upon hearing this, everyone present widened their eyes, exchanging stunned glances. The entire hall fell deathly silent. Not long after Han Li left Rainbow Mountain, Sect Master Wang announced that he was taking Li Feiyu as his final disciple. He also formally installed him as the head of the External Affairs Hall. From then on, he showed him exceptional favor and trust. And several years later, when Han Li's third uncle made a grave mistake that violated the sect's rules, a transgression that should have cost him his life, the Sect Master Wang intervened. overriding all objections to protect him. As for Sect Master Wang, in the subsequent gang conflicts, he encountered formidable foes and was gravely wounded on several occasions, left hovering on the brink of death. Each time everyone thought his time was up, he would miraculously pull through thanks to a pill from a jade vial and recover with astonishing speed. This instantly sparked a wave of envy, and people began clamoring to ask him the name and origin of the medicine. But Wang Juchu just hemmed and hawed, refusing to give a straight answer. So anyone who went to ask for the pill came back empty-handed. It wasn't until many years later, at the moment of Wang Juchu's death, that he finally revealed the name of the pill, the Nourishing Essence Elixir. And now, only 3 pills remained in the jade bottle. Yet these 3 pills alone sparked a bloody storm, bringing no end of trouble to Wang Juchu's descendants. But that, of course, is a story for another time. Li Feiyu was holding a few small bottles and a slip of paper, staring at them in a daze. He'd found these items in his room when he returned from Zhang Xiu'er's place that morning.
I've left the 7 Mysteries sect. I may never return. The medicine in this vial has been carefully prepared. It should be able to extend your lifespan a little. I hope you won't refuse it.
Finally, in the signature spot, he drew a smiling face of Han Li. Next to the smiling face, he added a note wishing Li Feiyu and Zhang Xiu'er an early wedding and a speedy arrival of a precious son. Li Feiyu stood there in a daze for a moment, then suddenly bolted out of the house and charged up to the peak of the nearest small mountain. From the peak, Li Feiyu gazed urgently toward the 7 Mysteries sect's main gate. All he saw was a vast expanse of lush green. There was no sign of anyone. After standing motionless for what felt like half a day, Li Feiyu let out a sigh. Take care of yourself. Have a safe journey. Li Feiyu slowly descended the mountain peak. His retreating figure, moving at a steady pace, looked profoundly lonely and deeply melancholic. At that moment, a horse-drawn carriage was traveling along the ancient road heading eastward. Han Li and Kuo Hun were riding inside. The wooden carriage looked rather shabby and worn on the outside, but the interior was kept quite clean. The 2 horses pulling it were in their prime, running with a strong, swift gait that sent the vehicle flying down the road. The driver was a rather ordinary, dark-skinned, lean, middle-aged man. He wasn't much of a talker and wouldn't speak unless Han Li asked him something first. Han Li was quite pleased with this. At the other end of the carriage, Kuo Hun carried a large bundle on his shoulder. It was packed with a change of clothes, gold and silver, and a collection of heavy bottles and jars. Han Li sat quietly in the carriage, listening to the wooden wheels creak and groan. His expression was placid, unrippled. He felt not a shred of sadness at leaving the 7 Mysteries sect.
If I had to name the one thing I'm a little reluctant to leave behind, it would probably be my good friend, Li Feiyu. But I'm sure he's received my message and the secret medicine by now. I hope the medicine works and lets him enjoy the good life a little longer.
With that thought, Han Li stretched his body and leaned back against the carriage wall, beginning to feign sleep. He had already told the driver that the destination for this carriage was the small mountain village where he was born. He knew it was impossible, but he still hoped that the moment he opened his eyes, he would see the faces of his parents and siblings. Han Li had been away from his parents for so many years that their faces had grown hazy in his memory. Before leaving his homeland for good, he had to see them one last time. Otherwise, he would never be able to leave with a clear conscience.
I wonder how my little sister is doing. She must be 16 or 17 by now. A young woman already. The last letter from home mentioned she was already betrothed. The betrothal gifts had been sent.
Just before Han Li drifted off to sleep, a small, frail figure appeared in his mind's eye. It was a figure that had always trailed behind him, calling out in a tiny, childish voice.
Time really does fly.
Han Li finally fell into a deep sleep. This time, he slept soundly and deeply, as peacefully as he had in childhood when his parents stood guard, swatting away the mosquitoes. 5 days later, Han Li followed the dirt road and finally caught sight of his familiar little village in the distance. The low mud walls, the rows of straw stacks, and the pitted, uneven path, all of it was now truly before his eyes. These were the very things that had once haunted Han Li's dreams. Han Li suppressed his excitement. He had the coachman stop the carriage well outside the village, leaving the sole driver on board, and then strode quickly toward the village entrance. The closer he got to the village, the harder his heart pounded. As soon as he stepped into the village entrance, he heard the sound of ancient instruments playing in unison. But as he walked along the village path, he didn't see a single villager. Han Li's heart stirred. This scene, these sounds, they were all too familiar from his childhood. It was clearly a wedding celebration at one of the houses, with the whole village turning out to congratulate the couple or just join in the festivities. Han Li focused his mind and slowly extended his spirit stone's perception. Sure enough, he found the entire village, young and old, gathered in one spot, but the location where they were congregating felt strangely familiar to him. That's my house?
Could it be?
Han Li had a hunch. He quickened his pace, swiftly skirting a few houses and rounding several corners. Then, his world brightened. Hundreds of villagers had gathered around a dirt courtyard. Inside stood several tiled houses, far nicer than the surrounding huts. Large, red double happiness characters were pasted on both sides of the courtyard gate and the doors of the houses. A small band of musicians was playing a lively tune right at the entrance.